Okay guys, I'm here today with Stefan Kasten, great friend of mine. He has probably like the biggest jiu-jitsu YouTube channel out there. If you guys have seen before, it's on his name, Stefan Kasten, and he also owns the website grapplerarts.com, where he writes a bunch of very cool blog posts and this and that. And I like a lot Stefan's style about how he teaches beginners. I follow his channel for a very long time, and I love the way he breaks down the beginner's techniques. So, I mean, like if that person is just starting jiu-jitsu and want to learn the basics, I love the way he teaches it. He shows it in a very simple way that one person who has never done jiu-jitsu before gets it very quickly. So today he's gonna show us here what are his principles to teach the beginners. So he's gonna show us one here, neck choke, and he's gonna show us like how he teach one beginner, how he teach one intermediate student, and how he teach one advanced student. So how he plays with the details when the guy's beginner, when the guy's probably blue or purple, and when the guy's probably like brown or black belt. So let's see.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, Bernardo. I'm a huge fan, and thanks for the kind things you said. Yeah, it's funny. I think a lot of people, when they're teaching beginners, you know, you show up to a jiu-jitsu class, and okay, tonight we're doing Berimbolo from De La Riva, and you're ending up in knee mount. And the people who are starting don't know what a Berimbolo is, they don't know what the back mount is, and they don't know what a knee mount is, and they don't know why this variation goes to knee mount and not to the back. They have no idea. So I think one important thing, especially for beginners, is to tell them why they're learning something. So something like the rear naked choke, which we're going to talk about, if that's what you wanted, it's really useful to say, this is one of the most important chokes that you need to know. Like this, maybe the guillotine, maybe the triangle choke, and now you've got most of the chokes that you need to know for self-defense. I mean, of course, there are a million other chokes, and if you want proof, look at the UFC. How many UFC fights have ended with a rear naked choke? How many Abu Dhabi matches this last weekend?
This weekend in ADCC was a bunch, for example.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So if it works at the super highest level against world-class black belts, if it works in mixed martial arts against guys who really, really don't want to lose, if it works with cops, do it on, you know, on people they're trying to arrest even though they're not supposed to do it. This works. So this is, you know, you got to give them a reason why they need to work on this, and maybe even explain things like, you know, you can put somebody unconscious because you're cutting the blood off to the brain. We just take that for granted, right? Like, well, it's a choke. Of course it puts you unconscious. People don't know. So I think we have to go back to when we were white belt and before we were white belt and realize that just because we've been training for decades doesn't mean that everyone has been training for decades. So in terms of teaching, like, a good rear naked choke is actually pretty intricate. But in terms of, you know, you don't want to show too many details right away, I don't think. I mean, you want to show stuff that's going to work. But if you start trying to teach slipping your hand in like this, even this motion here, a lot of people have difficulty with. So if they're not kinesthetically gifted, you might teach them, you know, you might say, look, this is the wrong way to do it. You put your hands on your bicep. I sometimes call this the Italian driver, right? Like when you're driving down the street. And then go here, but say, you're not, so if I may please. Yep. So if you're here, you might only want to give them a couple of points, like put the elbow in line with the chin and the nose. So that's one thing they can remember. Then do the Italian driver, and then chop down behind the neck. So now that's 3 things, and now squeeze. So that's only 4 things. If you start showing them the whole progression and all the points,
they forget everything.
Yeah, and they're gonna know 0. Whereas here, maybe they remember 2 or 3 of the 4 points. Elbow in front of the nose and chin, Italian driver, even though you're not really supposed to do that. Then chop down behind the neck, and then squeeze. So that might be a white belt.
Yep.
Then when you start getting to a blue belt, you introduce, or higher, once they're familiar with that, start introducing the idea of sliding the hand in here, because of course, if you do this against a good person, 100 out of 100 people are going to do this.
Yeah.
So you start going, okay, you've got this sort of short choke position, they're never going to see this hand. This is just going to slide up behind the neck here. So now that's actually a tricky motion to do, but it's really important. And when you watch the high-level guys, except sometimes in MMA, and sometimes in MMA they go back to this because of the gloves, but just practicing this motion, Now once they have that down, then you start going through the whole grip fighting progression of you start with the over-under. Now which hand has to cover which wrist? Because they've run into this problem of people controlling this hand. Now they can't choke with that anymore. So I have to get my own hand and cover my own wrist. So then I go up to the shoulder. Then I go here. So now that's 3 steps already. Now, but you're going to be pulling down my hands, right? So now I grab the shoulder again. I strike that off. I go back. If you're still pulling, I might punch sideways to adjust. Then I go here. Then I squeeze. So that's...
No, I got it. You pretty much showed the same technique here, but in 3 different ways. A white belt who doesn't know anything about Jiu-Jitsu, here, here, here.
Yes.
The guy who already know Jiu-Jitsu is probably blue belt or the end of white belt or this and that. Then we start explaining like, if you do this, you're gonna abuse the position. So you gotta abuse more, you're gonna do right like that. Then when the guy's really invested that he's already training, competing, and he's doing everything right, but the other one defends, then you control one hand, control the other hand, maybe hook with this like the arm and this and that.
the counter and the recounter.
Yeah. So I really like it because what you said is very common. Like if someone starts training Jiu-Jitsu and then first thing they show to him is like one crazy triangle from a spider guard, and then the guy's on that uncomfortable position. What's that? What's Jiu-Jitsu? You know what I mean? Like,
why am I between this guy's legs?
Yeah, you know. And even like on Alliance, the team I am from Fabio Gurgel and that, in your curriculum, in the Fundamentals 1, the beginner's curriculum, we only play like the very basic techniques in a very easy way to teach. Exactly because that, to make sure that we can bring that beginner, that guy who has never done Jiu-Jitsu before, to his word, to our word, without liking, being too complex.
Right.
So I really like it, Steph. Great job, man. Great stuff.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Nossa.